Hi there, this is Katy. I'm doing this in the dark again, the semi-dark, because I'm just in bed. I'm just doing this spontaneously. I'm recording this video, another kind of check-in video therapy about what's going on with me right now, but this is going to be, I think, kind of informative also. So this might be useful to other survivors or people trying to understand mind control. This morning I was talking to my partner about some things, and I started recalling some things around somebody I knew when I was partially deprogrammed at an earlier stage, someone I lived with. And I tapped on a trauma with them, and it started flooding me with sabotage directives, like sabotage programs to keep me away from processing the memory, meaning that it was booby-trapped. But I didn't become aware of it at first. I continued talking and started spiraling, kind of talking about increasingly traumatic things, getting more and more anxious, until finally I realized that I had triggered some programming. And I don't want to go into too much detail about that, but I'm coming out of it now. And I realized some things have become really real to me about how the programming works. There are things that I've intellectually known this whole time, but now they've become real to me on a deeper level, which is kind of how the deprogramming process seems to go. I can know something on one layer, but I continuously realize it more deeply as time goes on. What I realized is that when I'm in a programmed state, I truly cannot be reasoned with logically, that the critical thinking part of my brain isn't active, that it has to become reactivated through mindfulness, through grounding, but that's a mostly nonverbal experience. That what happens is that other parts of my brain, back parts of my brain, the amygdala, for example, becomes really active. It's the trauma brain, or the so-called reptilian brain, and I'm in a state of such high fear, such terror, that I may be dissociated from, but it's there, that I think in extremely black and white terms. And the only thing that I can do to regain normal thinking, to regain more conscious critical thought, and to come out of the programmed thoughts, is to calm down. That I have to go directly to the terror, directly to the parts who are being traumatized in the program, who are being tortured, and I have to soothe them. This is something I've already known. I've known for a long time. It's like the basis of my deprogramming process, really, is this understanding. But it's become real to me, this part of myself I'm in, on a new level. I now see that I really can't reason with myself, and that other people can't reason with me either. It came up because I was sharing some thoughts out of my programming to my partner, and he was having a stressful morning himself, and he tried to kind of like correct my thinking and, basically, tell me that what I was thinking was wrong. And he was right. The things I was saying were not right. But it quickly spiraled for me because there was no way for me to consciously see that and understand that. All I could do was focus on the fear and try to calm it down. So it's something that I'm starting to really understand. That just the more directly I can go to mindfulness when this stuff comes up, the better off that I will be. Another thing that's come up for me in coming out of this program is I realized I connected deeply to myself and realized that my sense of time has been completely messed up lately. My sleep schedule's gotten all messed up. Sorry for the background noise. And I realized that it's about 7 in the morning right now. And it feels to me like it's about 10 o'clock at night. Like I'm ready to go to bed. So I think I'm becoming aware of parts that stay up all night while other parts sleep. And it's not that my body, like that the body is getting up and doing stuff. It's that, and this is something I've been aware of for a while, but now it's becoming real to me on a deeper level, that I really do have a split experience of sleep and wake. That while I'm awake, parts are sleeping, and while I'm sleeping, parts are awake, and in various levels of hypnagogia and levels of trance, that I have all these associative parts that have different sleep schedules. That may sound bizarre to somebody who doesn't understand GID or trauma-based mind control, but I swear it's a thing that people experience. Like I've talked before about dissociative viewing over my body while I sleep, so parts of me are awake and watching, but those parts themselves aren't exactly awake. They're in a deep kind of hypnagogic trance. There's literally different brainwaves going off than you would see in a normal awakened state or a deep sleep, or even a light sleep. I haven't talked about this on my channel. I don't consider myself an expert on this, so I've been afraid of speaking on it. Not that everything I speak on I'm an expert about, but I think y'all know what I mean. Just haven't had the confidence. But trauma-based mind control often use, binaural beats. And the titles for different types of programs, like alpha, beta, delta, gamma, those correlate with brainwaves. And part of why I don't spend a lot of time focusing on it is because I've learned that the beta program, for example, doesn't involve just beta states. The delta program doesn't involve just delta states. That these different programs use all different kinds of brainwaves. There's validity to why they're called what they're called, but seeing my programming as more holistic, as involving multiple parts on multiple levels at all times, has actually been useful for me, so I've not paid as much attention to those labels. But it is helpful, I think, for me to understand that I do have multiple parts who are literally experiencing different states of consciousness. Like they don't just have different personalities or hold different traumas or different awarenesses. Like the actual brainwaves, I think if you did a brain scan on me when I'm switching states, you will see that depending on the alter, my brain will emanate, at different frequencies. Emanate's probably not the right word, but I think y'all know what I mean. So it's helping me to understand that the exhaustion and the total mindfuck I feel around sleep is because I have these parts that are on all these different levels. I've done a tremendous amount on sleep programming. Part of why I haven't made videos about it yet is because I'm still experiencing these things. And I always try to get to a certain level of integration and deprogramming before I publicly speak on stuff in any kind of informational, analytical way. Right now, I'm just kind of expressing where I'm at in the moment. I'm not trying to give anybody, a framework for how to deal with this stuff themselves. So, yeah, I haven't made videos on it, but I have done a lot around sleep. And I've done a lot to try and amend the horribly unhealthy states that mind control creates. I mean, I remember in the mind control, my predominant personality parts, my outermost front parts thought that we were sleeping at night, but really very close beneath the surface, my alters were aware that they were only sleeping about an hour to an hour and a half a night. They were being kept awake 22 to 23 hours a day. From what they understood, it was 22 hours a day, followed by an hour of hypnagogia, followed by an hour of, or half an hour of actual sleep, somewhat close to actual sleep, followed by another half hour of coming out of trance. The sleep itself was a deep trance, deep trance, not actually sleep. And then there was a half hour of coming out of the trance. So it was an hour of being semi-under trance, and then a half an hour in deep trance, and then coming out of that trance for another half hour. And that was what we called sleep, was those 2 hours. But that the rest of the day we were awake and working. My programmers did things to make me think I was going to bed around 9 o'clock. But a few minutes after I quote unquote fell asleep, which was really falling into deep trance and dissociating, I would get injected with a stimulant that I was injected in order to in order to create the deep trance, to help create the deep trance. I was injected with a downer, and then a few minutes later, like 5 minutes later, I was injected with an upper, and I wouldn't know that had happened because I would switch states. But even though my front personalities thought that we were going to sleep and actually sleeping around 9 o'clock at night or 9:30, a few minutes later, we were taken out of what turned out to actually be a deep trance through forcible injection with the stimulant, and then we were taken to the trafficking ring where we were sold. And then we were returned home around 4 a.m., and it was between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. that we had that quote-unquote sleep routine in which we were put into hypnagogic and trance states, and then we were woken up at 6 to get ready to go to school, and that was our day. So you can imagine that left us with unfathomable sleep issues and exhaustion. We're still chronically exhausted. And we're still plagued by programming that prevents us from sleeping during the day. Physically, like the parts of ourselves that are aware of our body don't get to sleep during the day. Our partner naps a lot, and it's frustrating for us to not be able to do so with him because we're so exhausted and we'll be in bed, but we have to stay up because of the programs. So we're starting to get that we still have extensive sleep programming. That while we don't go through what we went through before with the 2-hour night cycles, we still have varying levels of disruption and varying levels of awakeness on dissociative planes when we shouldn't be experiencing that. So I've just rambled on. I'm exhausted right now. Normally I'm asleep. I woke up real early this morning. And so I'm just all over the place, and I'm just going to be focusing right now on deprogramming the sleep centers of my mind so that I can start really trying to unify my alters. And, I don't expect to fully integrate around this for years, but I have a sincere hope that I can maybe get parts to sleep at the same time or be in varying levels of deep trance at night rather than the hyper awakeness that they experience now. And I'll go to extreme lengths to make sure that I'm not accessible when I'm in that kind of trance. I just know that to actually get parts to sleep, that may be very challenging on certain levels. That it's easier to basically use programming tools to adjust alters mind states so that their brainwaves slow down and they go into deep trance than it is to actually get them to truly sleep. I know that supposedly deep sleep, is a product of, or part of deep sleep is having extremely slow down brainwaves, but I don't know how to slow my brainwaves down on that level enough to actually get parts to sleep. I don't know how to explain it. There's just always this sense that it's never really sleeping. It's just deeper and deeper layers of trance. Hopefully I'll understand why that feels that way one day, and this will all just make more sense. Okay, I'll probably edit this down. I talked a lot. I am so tired. I hope this all makes sense. Bye.